Hi everyone. So welcome to this gentle mobility flow with me, Sinead Brophy of Go with Flow Coaching. It's going to be a total body flow today. So we're going to start with the head, we'll do some shoulder work, we'll do some hip work, and then we'll finish with some nice relaxation at the end. I'm going to get you guys to start in a seated position. If you want, have a pillow with you. I tend to like placing a pillow just underneath my hips on my heels as I kneel. You can also do this seated. You could do it in a chair as well if you prefer. And what we're going to work on is just starting by taking slow, steady breaths. Breathing in and breathing out. And I just want you to focus on trying to breathe into the rib cage. And breathe out. So really trying to imagine that rib cage extend as you breathe in, and then relax and contract as you breathe out. The stomach is staying soft the whole time throughout this. Two more times. And last time. And what we're looking to do is try and keep that breath throughout this mobility flow. We're going to start with the neck first. So we're going to just gently bring the chin down towards the chest and get a nice stretch along the back of the neck. We're going to bring the chin out along the collarbone, maybe looking over your left shoulder. We're going to drop that left ear down towards the left shoulder. And then being mindful of the back of the neck, we're going to look up towards the ceiling, reach that head back and around. And then we're dropping the right ear down towards the right shoulder. We're looking over that right shoulder. And then we're coming down, bringing the chin along the chest, along the collarbone back to the center and coming back up. We're going to bring the chin down again and go back the way we came. Chin out along the collarbone. Let's look over the shoulder, ear down, get that nice big stretch. Being mindful of the back of the neck, reaching the chin up towards the ceiling, bringing the head back and around in a semicircle to then drop the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Looking over that left shoulder, and then bringing the chin down along the collarbone again. If you want, you can bring those hands to the back of your head, interlace those fingers, and then just very gently get a nice stretch along the back of the neck, letting those elbows just hang down. Again, we're not forcing this, we're not pushing. We're just looking to go a little bit deeper into the traps, into the top of the shoulders, down in between the shoulder blades. As with everything in this flow, it's optional, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But it can feel nice sometimes to go deeper into that stretch. Very gently bring the head up. Let's release the hands. And then bring the hands down onto the thighs or the knees. Roll the shoulders back. We're going to go for some nice slow circles with the shoulders. You might hear a few crunches. Again, just making sure it's pain-free. We're going to go for about 8 circles in one direction and then 8 circles in the other direction. Just notice maybe if one shoulder feels a bit stickier, maybe it feels a bit crunchier, or maybe it's just not moving as smoothly as the other shoulder. And let's change direction. We're really just trying to take those shoulder blades through its full range. And again, notice, is it easy to lift the shoulders up to the ears perhaps? And maybe it's a little bit harder to squeeze those shoulder blades together when they're in that bottom position. Typically, that's what most of us will feel, but you may feel a different experience. So just checking in within how your body's feeling. Lovely. We're going to bring our left hand down towards the mat. We're going to reach up and over and get a nice big stretch through the side of the rib cage. Point those fingertips away, and then let's come back in towards the center and change over. Again, we're continuing with that slow, steady breathing. Exhaling as you reach up and over. Inhaling as we come back in towards the center. Lovely. Going for one more on each side. Really reach with those fingertips. Get a nice big stretch. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Reaching with those fingertips a little bit further than we did before. And coming back in towards the center. We're going to stretch out our wrists now. So we're going to bring our right hand to our left fingers in the ball of our hand here. We're just going to straighten out that left arm and very gently pull those fingertips towards the forearm. Just staying here for another breath or two. And then let's point the fingertips down, bringing your right hand to the back of those left knuckles and just very gently pulling in towards the bottom of the forearm. One more breath here. Again, focusing on that soft stomach. And then relaxing as we exhale. We're going to change over onto the side. So bringing the left hand now to the fingers of our right hand, the kind of ball of our fingers. And then getting a stretch. Again, if you can, try and have your thumb in there as well. Get a bit of a stretch into the muscles of the thumb and down into the wrist. One more breath. And then as we exhale, let's point those fingers down. Let's bring the left hand to the back of the right knuckles and just bring in. One more breath. And then release. What we're going to do is just come into a tabletop position in a quadruped. That's what it's also known as. We're going to bring the hands in underneath the shoulders, the knees in underneath the hips, and we're going to go for some gentle cat-cows. So we're going to breathe in, chin points up, tailbone points up, and then breathe out, round through that spine into cat. Breathe in, and then breathe out. And we're just taking these nice and slow, working with our breath the whole time. Going for a few more rounds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to extend that left leg out behind us. We're going to have the toes curled under and we're going to point away with the heels. I'm just going to step forward very slightly so you can see that a bit better. And I'm trying to drive my heel into the mat, getting a nice big stretch through the back of the leg, through the calf, maybe just a gentle stretch in the underside of my foot as well. Staying here for one or two more breaths. And then we're going to come out of that. We're going to lift that left leg up and across over our bent right knee and go in for a little bit of a side stretch. So if I want to go a little bit deeper into this, I'm just rounding through the side of the rib cage, trying to look over my right shoulder towards my right foot, getting a nice stretch into the side of my hip, into maybe my rib cage and into my calf. One more breath here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift that left leg and bring it out to the side, my toes pointing forward. I'm just going to adjust so you can see me from the side on. If you want to adjust as well, you're more than welcome to. We're going to point those toes forward. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to start rocking back. I'm keeping my back really flat here. So I'm trying to get a nice stretch into my groin at the inside of my leg here. And I'm breathing in as I sit back and breathing out as I come forward. For some of us, it might feel nicer to have the right toes curled under on this leg. For others, it might feel better to have the foot flat on the mat. So just see what feels best for you. We're going to slowly come out of that. I'm going to come up into a tall kneeling position, keeping my leg out to the side. And then I'm going to reach my right hand down to the ground. And if you need your pillow here or maybe a block, you can use that. And then we're going to reach the left hand up and over. And just looking up past my arm towards the ceiling. If I need to be up onto my fingertips as well, that's totally fine. And just reach. Try and feel that nice big stretch from the fingertips down through the side of the rib cage, down into the hip, and then down into the side of my left ankle. And one more breath here. And then as we exhale, we're going to come back up into our tall kneeling position. I'm going to reach that left hand down my left thigh and reaching that right hand up and over. Get a nice big stretch. Keep breathing. One more breath. And then slowly coming out of that, we're going to come back into our quadruped position. So I'm just going to turn around. And then we're going to straighten that right leg back out behind us, get a nice stretch through that right calf. Have those right toes curled under and just pushing the heel away. My right leg is strong, just getting a nice deep stretch down the back of the calf. We're here for one more breath. And then as we exhale, leaning forward, just lifting that right foot up and over across. And if I want, I can reach around, looking over my left shoulder towards my foot. Just getting that nice big stretch all through the right hand side of my body. Again, that might not be comfortable for all of us. So if you need to stay straight on, that's totally fine. But if it is comfortable, it can be quite a nice stretch. And then slowly coming out of that. And again, we're going to go into that groin stretch. So I'm just going to adjust here. We're bringing that right leg out to the side. The right foot is flat. My toes are pointing forward. I'm breathing in as I sit the hips back, and I breathe out as I come forward. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Just working with our breath, keeping our stomach soft, not forcing anything. And then slowly coming up out of that into our tall kneeling position. We're going to come into our modified side plank with a stretch, reaching up and over. Again, trying to keep this left hand flat on the ground. If we need to be up onto our fingertips or use a prop, that is totally fine. If you don't have blocks, a pillow or books can be handy if you're at home. Just staying here for a few more breaths. Reaching through those fingertips, trying to get a nice big stretch all the way from the right fingertips down through the right rib cage, through the right hip, and then into the right ankle. One more breath. Breathing out, we're going to come back up to our tall kneeling position, reach that right hand down our leg, and reach the left up and over and get a nice stretch. Again, if we need to, we can have the hand on the hip if it doesn't feel so comfortable having the hand down the leg. We're just trying to elongate to that left hand side, trying to keep our left arm straight and get that deep stretch. One more breath here. And then breathe out. We're going to come out of that and come back into our quadruped or tabletop position. What we're going to do now is just come down into a puppy pose. So we're going to have the hands out in front of us. We're going to push the hips up towards the ceiling and drop the head down towards the ground. If I want to go a little bit deeper into my lat stretch, I can just maybe drop my elbows down and try and squeeze the shoulder blades together. I can also come up onto my fingertips as well to go a little bit deeper into the armpits. Or I can just let the hands rest whatever way feels most comfortable for me. You're more than welcome to stay in this position. If you want to go deeper into the tricep stretch, you're going to bring the palms of the hands together. You can walk those elbows in a little bit closer, and then you can sink those hips back, trying to bring your chest down towards the mat a little bit more. Just taking 1 or 2 more deep breaths here. We're going to bring the hands back to the mat. We're going to walk the hands in very slightly. Just spread those fingertips into the mat. We're going to curl the toes under. We're going to push up into a downward dog and just pedal those heels very gently. Have your pillow nearby. We're going to come into a pigeon pose after this. So you might want to be supported if your hip can't make it down towards the mat. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift our right leg up. We're going to bring that right knee towards our right wrist. And then we're going to try and sink that hip down. So as I said, if you can't get your right hip onto the mat, use a pillow in underneath the hip. We're going to then walk our hands forward. And if you can come all the way down into that sleeping pigeon, fantastic. If not, just staying on your elbows or even staying propped up onto your hands, whichever feels most comfortable for you. So with this, what we're looking to do is just focus on breathing into the hip. Trying to feel that stretch through the rib cage. So what we're looking to do is just feel that stretch into the hip as we take some slow, steady breaths. Taking one more breath here, we're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out, walk those hands back in underneath the shoulders if we're reaching those hands forward. We're going to push back into our down dog again. This time, drop both heels down. Push the hips up towards the ceiling and just get that deeper static stretch into the calves. Again, if this feels too strong for anyone, you're more than welcome to stay in a puppy pose or push back into a child's pose. We're going to lift that left leg up now and bring the left knee towards the left wrist. Try and drop that left hip down. And if possible, we're trying to square the hips as well. Again, you can walk those hands forward. If that feels comfortable, drop the head down. If not, you're staying propped up on your elbows or propped up onto your hands as well, whichever feels most comfortable. Just make sure that you can release here and feel supported in whatever pose you're in. Focus on taking your slow, steady breaths, soft stomach, and breathing into that left hip. Taking 2 more breaths here, so breathing in, breathing out, breathing in one more time. Breathing out, we're going to walk those hands back up if you had the hands out in front. We're just going to push back into a down dog. We're going to bring the knees towards the mat, and then we're going to come into a seated position. If you need, or if you want, you can sit on a pillow so those hips feel a little bit more supported. So using a block underneath the hips or a pillow underneath the hips can help if you struggle to have your legs out straight in front of you or to have your hips in a comfortable position. Got a couple of different options here. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, the knees going to be out to the side. You can either have the hands behind and just gently push forward like this, or if you prefer, you can hold onto the feet, even interlace the fingers into the toes. And what we're looking to do is try and pull our chest forward, keeping our back flat here. It's just a little bit active just to start. We're not trying to force it, but we're just actively pulling ourselves with our core muscles, with our hip flexors into this position. And then I'm going to release and we're just going to come into a passive stretch, getting an extra bit of a stretch into the lower back and through the spine. Again, maybe it's more comfortable if I bring my hands out in front, or I can hold the feet with my hands cupped in underneath them, the elbows out to the side. And here we're just looking to passively relax into the stretch. Making sure you're not clenching your jaw. Taking 2 more breaths here. Nice, slow and steady, breathing into that lower back. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. We're going to walk those hands back up. Let's straighten our left leg out in front of us. Our right knee is still bent. We're bringing that in towards our thigh. So our right sole of the foot is in against the left thigh. We're going to reach up and then fold forward, either holding onto the thigh, the calf, or the foot if we can. And just let that head relax down. Just slow, steady breathing here. Imagine the muscles elongating and relaxing. One more breath, breathing in. And then breathing out, walking those hands back up. We're just going to rotate and twist very slightly. So bring our left hand towards the right knee, right hand behind us, and looking back out over our shoulder, getting a gentle twist. We're going to slowly come out of that and change onto the other side. So right leg out front, left leg in towards the thigh. We're going to reach up and fold forward. Letting that head relax down. Again, we can hold onto the shin. The hands can be on either side of the leg. We can hold onto the foot if we're able to reach that far. We're not forcing it. We're just going to wherever our body wants us to go. And then just relaxing into this pose. Let the neck elongate, head go heavy. Just focusing on our breathing here. And focusing on the muscles, relaxing, stretching, and elongating. Making sure the jaw is soft. Taking one more breath in here. And then as we breathe out, we're just walking those hands back up and then coming into that gentle rotation. So right hand towards left knee, left hand behind, just rotating through the rib cage to look over that left shoulder. One more breath here. And then as we exhale, coming back in towards the center, we're just going to come down onto our mat now, lying down onto our backs. If lying down onto your back isn't comfortable, you can prop yourself up with a bolster as well. So we're just lowering down with control. We're going to have the feet flat on the ground, the knees pointing up towards the ceiling. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a breath in, and then we're going to breathe out, and we're going to drop those knees out towards the left-hand side. We're breathing in and breathing out, dropping those knees out to the side. We're just windscreen wiping with our legs, with our knees, and working with our breath. So as I inhale, I bring the knees back in towards the center. And as I exhale, I drop those knees out to the side. I breathe in. And then I breathe out. I breathe in. And then I breathe out. On this last one, what we're going to do is just let those knees drop out to that left-hand side and relax here. If anyone needs to, you're just placing that pillow in underneath your knees for a bit of extra support. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the shoulders, we're bringing those hands out to the side into that cactus position, just opening up the chest very slightly. Taking 2 more breaths here. On the next exhale, then bringing the legs back in towards the center and dropping out to the other side. And again, just adjust so that you feel supported if you need any props. See if you can imagine that the chest, the shoulders are just melting and relaxing a little bit more. Really focusing on keeping your breath steady here. You can even box breathe, so maybe focus on breathing in for a count of 4. And then breathe out for a count of 6. Breathe in for a count of 4. And then breathe out for a count of 6. We're going to take 1 more breath here. Breathe in. Breathe out and bring those feet back in towards the center. We're just going to hug one knee in towards our chest. We're going to straighten that other leg away. Take a deep inhale. Breathe out, give yourself a bit of a squeeze. And then as you inhale, changing over onto the side, hugging the other knee in towards our chest, the leg out in front. Take a breath in. Exhale, give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. And then as you inhale, bringing both feet either straight out or have your feet flat on the ground, whichever feels more comfortable with your knees bent. You're going to reach your left hand up towards the ceiling. Place the right hand at the back of the left forearm, not your elbow, the left forearm, and just gently hug your left arm across the chest. Letting gravity and then the weight of your right hand just pull you deeper into that stretch, feeling it across the back of the left shoulder. And maybe in between the left shoulder blade. Taking one more breath here. Breathing out, and let's change over onto the other side. Right hand up, left hand behind the right forearm, and then just gently pulling that right hand down towards the mat, getting a deep stretch across the back of the right shoulder, maybe in between the shoulder blades. Staying here for a few more breaths. Last breath now. Taking a deep inhale. Exhaling, just bringing those knees in towards your chest, releasing the hands, wrapping them around the knees, gently rocking side to side, massaging out that lower back. And then we're just going to roll over onto your side, reaching your hand up overhead. You can stay here for a second or two. Take a breath in and then breathe out. We're pushing ourselves back up into a seated position. And we're done. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed that gentle mobility flow.